Okay, we're here with Jason Lasso for hand-to-hand combat. He is MKind0516 on most every site. And Jason, you're playing a $500 no-limit tournament at Ultimate Bet, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, you got 127 players, and this is a good hand because we rarely see hands that are early in the tournament that are such big pots. So talk about it a bit. The blinds are $20 and $40.
Yeah, so blinds are small, and usually at this point I'm trying to play really tight. I don't really want to risk all my chips, a lot of chips in play. But in this particular hand, I picked up a pretty good hand, and I was forced to play.
And you've got the villain limps pre-flop, and you've got position on him, right?
No,
No, sorry.
Limps in from
middle position.
Middle-ish position. I'm in the small blind, actually, with pocket jack.
Right.
Right, and my read on this player is that he's a very aggressive and a very loose player. I played with him a lot in the past. I have respect for his game, but he can be a bit of a maniac sometimes.
Right.
So I know he could be limping a lot of hands here.
And he limps, and you raise to 170, and he insta-calls you, right?
Insta-calls, yes.
Now, the flop comes up 10, ace, 7, pretty much a rainbow. What are you thinking here?
Well, when you're holding a hand like jacks or queens or kings or whatever, anything like that, anything that doesn't contain an ace, when you see the ace on the flop, you naturally just, you're never happy to see it. And, however, it's that he limped in pre-flop, so I'm thinking he probably didn't have an ace. His position, he's probably going to raise with an ace pre-flop.
Right.
Any type of ace. So I have to assume that, unless he has some sort of miracle flop here, I'm probably going to have the best hand. So I make a pretty standardish continuation bet, bet about 2/3 of the pot, and he called me, which I wasn't too happy about. There were 2 clubs out there, but like I said, I'm not having him on an ace. I'm thinking more likely he could have like a draw here, maybe like a middle-ish pair, like a 10. I'm not really sure, but I'm not putting him on an ace check, so I think he could have re-raised me here with an ace.
Right. Don't you think most inexperienced players would be scared of the ace?
That is something you see way too commonly. Like they see the ace and they'll just like, not only will they just like, they'll be scared of it, like that they won't bet it, but they'll usually won't fold it. They still won't fold their hand even when they see the ace, just because they don't want to let go of their hand, but they're just afraid to bet their hand. But you have to try to get information about about your opponent and where he could be at in the hand.
Right. So you bet 235 and he calls again. What are you thinking now?
Well, like I said, he could have like a draw. He could have like a middle-ish pair. Maybe he does have like a small ace. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure because he called so quickly, but I'm still thinking there's a really good chance my hand is still good here.
Okay, so the turns are 4 diamonds, and again, you raise this time to 525. And does he call fast this time, or what happens here?
I don't necessarily remember the speed of the call.
Right.
But I do remember like it didn't take him that long to call, and now I'm not feeling so great. I am like before I bet, like I'm thinking, like I said, he probably doesn't have like an ace, and this is a really harmless card. Doesn't complete any draws. It's a type of card where he's either going to have me beat it or he's not. Already, I mean, he either have me beat on the flop or he doesn't. So I make my bet again with my jacks, thinking that it probably could be good, and he calls again. And now I'm not feeling too good about my hand. He's called me twice, and
right.
I think I bet enough here on the turn that like I'm trying to price him off a draw. Now whether or not he'd fold a draw, I'm not sure. Some people will never fold a draw no matter what, but he's a good player, and in this type of tournament, I think he would fold a draw, thinking putting me on a strong hand.
Right.
And so I'm not feeling too good about my hand at this point.
What mistake do you think a lot of players make in this spot? Because I see players bet weakly on the turn now and giving the draw obviously an obvious, I got a call here with pot odds.
They'll either bet really weakly, hoping that they don't raise behind them. They'll bet like 200 into like an 800 pot or whatever, but like a lot of them also just check, which sometimes isn't the worst play because, it could be less than they have an ace, but still, I think this is in this spot in particular, like with my read on the player, I think I have to make another bet here.
Okay, and the river comes up a 9 of spades. You got a $1,900 pot, and what are you thinking now? Because you check here.
Yeah. So, like I said, I bet twice, and he's called me both times, and you know, it's like the river isn't the scariest card in the world. I mean, it completed a couple of miracle, you know, inside straight draws, but I'm not really all that concerned about it. It didn't complete the flush or anything. So once again, it's probably going to come down to whether I was beat on the flop or not. Of course, I really can't bet here. There's no value of me betting. If I bet here, it's basically a bluff.
Right.
So I checked to him, and it's 1,900 in the pot, and he bets 575, which is, it's a weird bet because normally when someone bets that small, it's because they want to induce a call.
Yeah, it looks like a thin value bet, right?
Right. Right, but I thought about this hand for a while, and I almost timed out on it, but I thought about this, and, you know, I'm thinking, you know, he limped in pre-flop, so there's a really good chance he doesn't have, like, a big ace, like an ace-jack, ace-queen, ace-king type of hand. Probably doesn't have something like pocket tens or pocket fours or whatever it was, wherever the flop was for a set, because very likely he would have raised me earlier in the hand to protect his hands. And the same thing if he had, like, aces up. Mm-hmm. Like, if he had aces up at any other street, he probably has to raise to protect his hand against all the clubs and against the bigger ace or whatever. If I had a pocket pair, like I do, against me hitting a set. So I'm not putting him on something like that. And so when he bets on the river, it's like a suspicious bet. I know this guy's capable of making some crazy moves sometimes, but I'm really not sure if this is a spot where he'd do it. But basically what it comes down to for me is, like, is he willing to really bet, like, a weak ace here? Like, what else could he have? Like, so I have to, like, pretty much just go back to, like, my pre-flop read. Like, he probably doesn't have an ace in this spot. And, like, if he does, it's just unfortunate. And, you know, well played, but I don't think he can have an ace here and bet it.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's a profitable play because really there's no worse hand I'm going to be calling with. So I do make the call.
And he turns over king 10.
He turns over king 10, which is kind of interesting. Because what he ends up showing is second pair, but which you might think probably has a little showdown value. But the way that this hand was played is that he has to think that I have something. Like, I've bet twice. He could think I have an ace, like a weak ace, who's trying to push me off of it, which is possible, I guess. More likely he's putting me on a hand like what I have, like jacks, queens, or kings. I'm like, he doesn't put me on an ace, and he's trying to just push me off the hand. And by making the value-ish type bet on the river, he's trying to scare me off it, trying to make him think that I want a call. And if that was enough of my stack, like, it was like a third of my remaining stack, that
right.
Like, I couldn't really, like, afford to make this call. Like, if I didn't think I was, like, good, I really can't afford to make a speculative call here. So it was actually kind of an interesting bet on his part. Like, he had, like, a made hand, but he pretty much turned it into a bluff, but not that I really blame him because it's probably like they have a better hand than him.
Well, that was a good call, but let's turn it around for a second for the people watching this hand. I'm curious, what could he have done to make you fold? Would he have bet more?
He had to have bet earlier in the hand. He should have raised pre-flop, for sure. Or at least he should have been the one raising pre-flop. He could have raised me on the flop with a turn, try to get information there. If he had raised me on the flop with a turn, I'd probably throw my hand away. I don't think necessarily was much he could have done on the river there. I was not putting him on an ace. Like, even if he bet, like, you know, even if he moved all in on the river, it would have looked so suspicious I probably would have called him anyway. But, I just don't think I could have made that. I just don't think he could have represented an ace on the river or a better, like a set or anything like that on the river, because he should have raised earlier.
Right, so sort of it's a lesson sort of, you see people raising, so it's a weakish hand, king 10 offsuit. If he had just raised and not just tried to limp in, he would have at least been able to represent more, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So the key is, if you're going to come to the pot most of the time, probably just raise.
Yeah, that's usually a good idea. That would be the one raising.
Okay, well, Jay, this is Jason Lasso, MKind0516. We appreciate your time with hand-to-hand combat, and hopefully we'll work with you again.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.